Hi, I'm Nick Corbin, class of 2014. Today you'll be watching a replay of our 2013 game against Randolph-Macon. With this win, we would go to the ODAC championship in 2013, where we would match up with Randolph-Macon yet again. Randolph-Macon got the best of us in that two-game set where we lost both games. However, with those losses, we had a lot of time to simmer on that. We had a lot of time to adopt a new mindset, and that new mindset allowed us to be successful in 2014. Our motto in 2014 was all in. With that motto came a chip on our shoulder and a swagger in our step. We were ready to take care of business. We knew that we belonged in the championship game, and we knew that we were going to get there, and we were going to take care of business once we were there. So behind the leadership of Coach Kendall and those seniors on that 2013 squad, I don't think we would have been as successful as we were in 2014. So a shout out to those seniors: Matt Mayer, Joseph Lucas, Johnny Mason, Christian Armstrong, Andrew Hacker, and Mark Smith. Thank you guys, and enjoy this game.
Stepping to the plate for Randolph-Macon on top of the first will be number 9, the designated hitter, Mitchell Keeler. Keeler, a .375 hitter on the season. He's got 39 hits, 9 doubles, 23 runs driven in. He's also drawn 24 walks and has an on-base percentage of .500. Lucas on the hill for the Eagles.
Well, that team was very much a junior-senior late team, led by Johnny Mason, Andrew Hacker. Were kind of two big sticks in the lineup. Christian Armstrong had a pretty good year for his senior year, which really added to that offense. That something maybe wasn't expected initially, but he had a great year, contributed a lot to that. And then on the mound, we were really junior-senior laden as well, with the pitching staff, and Joseph Lucas being the senior on that staff that probably contributed the most to that year. So it was a team that was seasoned, veteran, and really believed they could get it done. And to have the year they had and win 19 regular season games was a record that I think still stands. So it was a team that proved that they deserved to be there, and it was a great run for them.
Payoff pitch, pops him up. Fielders converge, now Falk underneath it in shallow center. Makes the catch. That will retire Keeler, put one down for the Yellow Jackets in the first, and that brings it to plate number 1, the second baseman, Jake Fletcher. Fletcher, a .367 hitter, 44 hits on the year, 5 doubles, triple, 3 home runs, 18 runs driven in. He's also stolen 10 bases, so he's a little bit of a run-stealing threat should he get on base. On the way from Lucas. Finds a mark for a strike and brings the count to 0-1. That's going to be important for Joseph as the game progresses to make sure he stays ahead in the count early. .01 finds a mark for a strike, and that brings the count to 0-2 to Fletcher. 0-2 pitch. Outside, trying to get Fletcher to chase. He lays off, and that works the count to 1-2. Lucas. The long look in. Now time called by Fletcher, as Lucas had some trouble picking up the sign from Smith. Lucas to wind up the 1-2. Breaking ball, dropped into the zone, fouled away. Keep the count 1-2 to Fletcher. In the on-deck circle for the Yellow Jackets is the center fielder, Jeb Weymouth. Swing and a miss, strike 3. That will retire Fletcher. Put 2 down for the Yellow Jackets. Lucas. His 1-2 pitch. Grounded back. First base side, Armstrong over underneath it. Steps on the bag.
Going into the tournament, we had a pretty confident team. Again, we were really confident in our pitching, and that carried us through the first 3 games in particular. Corey Armentrout threw a complete game against Roanoke in Game 1, which Roanoke was the only team to beat us during the regular season, which kind of put you on edge going that game. Knew it wasn't going to be easy, and we had to prove something. But he threw a complete game win for us, which was big, which puts you in the winner's bracket. You always want to be in the winner's bracket, not be in the loser's bracket, and have to play extra games from the start. Then in game 2 against Shenandoah, Robert Gallant started that game. We pieced that one together. Kyle Henshaw came in behind him, and then Corbin actually shut it down for two and a third innings to give us a chance to win a ball game, for which we were behind until the bottom of the ninth, and we had a two-run rally in the ninth to walk it off. So it was a good way to finish game 2 and feel good about going into your true two teams undefeated in game 3, us and Randolph-Macon. And that game was probably the biggest game Joseph Lucas pitched in his career. He threw a complete game. I think he had 7 strikeouts against a pretty good Randolph-Macon team, and that put us in the championship round. We were going to have to wait and see who came back to play us, and it ended up being Randolph-Macon again.
One outside for a ball, and that evens the count up 1-1. One pitch. Off speed, grounded over to the third baseman on a hop. Over to first, scoops it up. Good job of the first baseman to get underneath that. Michael Kroll to scoop up a low throw from third base to retire Sanderson and put down 2 for the Eagles in the bottom part of the first. And that brings to the plate number 18, the right fielder, Johnny Mason. Mason hitting .329 on the year. 49 hits, 11 doubles, 2 triples, 8 home runs, 44 runs driven in. The home runs and the RBI all lead the team. Pitch on the way from Bram. Missed a little bit low and outside for a ball. Brings the count to 1-0. Pitch. Off speed, catches the outside part of the plate for a strike, and that evens the count up 1-1. Again, the game after this one has Hampton-Sydney playing W&L in an elimination game. The 1-1. That catches the outside part of the plate for a strike and runs the count to 1-2 to Mason. The winner of that one will move on. I believe to play the loser of this game. Ground shot to the second baseman. Has some trouble with it. Over to first, but in time. That will retire Mason and retire the side for the Eagles. Hey, we welcome you back to Lynchburg City Stadium for the bottom part of the second inning. Due up for the Eagles, 4, 5, 6 hitters, Hacker, Walling, and Smith. First pitch to Hacker. It's going to miss for a ball and brings the count to 1-0. Big news from over in Salem. Bridgewater softball team out in front of Roanoke early on by a 3-0 score off a 3-run home run from the bat of Melanie Lamb.
Yeah, so then, we finished that day after beating Randolph-Macon. They had to come back through the losers bracket to meet up with us again. Unfortunately for us, we were on a roll. We were 22-1 essentially in the conference at that point, and now we had to face Randolph-Macon again. But the problem was we lost our momentum because it rained and the tournament had to leave Lynchburg and had to be played that following Monday in Roanoke. So we had to go home, lose that momentum we had that day, and then go back down to Roanoke instead of Lynchburg, where the tournament was originally held the first 3 days to finish the tournament. And in game 1 we lost to Randolph-Macon, and we sort of lost our edge as well. So the guys lost some confidence. We couldn't rein it back in, and they beat us 2 games in 1 day to win the championship. So it was a tough ending to a really good season, and to convince the guys that they couldn't be defined by that 1 day was tough. But we had to wait 2 weeks to find out if we were going to get a regional bid, because we had a kind of season that would get you one. And sure enough, I think we were one of the last two teams in the region picked to play in the postseason and go to a regional at Memphis. So it was rewarding in the end. It was something that those guys deserved, and it was a good trip to Memphis.
First strike, and brings the count to 0-1. The 0-1 pitch misses downstairs for a ball, and that evens the count 1-1. Bram, the 1-1 delivery. Grounded back first base side, but foul. Works the count to 1-2. Bram on the year. He's got a 2-3 record in 10 appearances. 9 starts. He's pitched 50 innings with a 5.58 ERA. Opponents are hitting .338 against Bram on the year. His 1-2. Pops him up. Left field side, left fielder in. Dives, can't make the play. That's going to be a single to left field from the bat of Derek Wallen, and the Eagles have their first base runner of the day here in the bottom part of the second. 2-2 delivery. Grounded back third base side. Third baseman has a little trouble with it. Now the throw over to first base. Still in time to retire Smith, but advance Wallen over to second base, put a runner in scoring position with 2 away for the Eagles in the second. 0-2 pitch. Grounded back to the shortstop. Shortstop over to first. In time, that will retire Hal. Lucas. Pitch on the way. Missed a little bit inside for a ball and brings the count to 1-0. Lucas. The 1-0 delivery. Grounder back up the middle. Sanderson over. Throws it to first. In time. That will put away Heidemann and retire the side for the Yellow Jackets in the top part of the third. Game tied up 0-0 after 2.5.
So we went to Memphis. It was a trip that the guys will still talk about. We flew out there. You kind of felt like you're treated like royalty. All of a sudden, you're flying to regionals. We always had to bus in the past or take vans back in the day. So to fly to a regional was big for our guys, and it was a 6-team regional. It was a lot of good teams. Randolph-Macon was also in that same regional. We played our first day against Millsaps, who I thought was the best team out there. They beat us 7-0, and they reminded me of some of the teams we faced in regionals in the past that just were so dominant. They had great speed, particularly in their outfield. They run down balls you thought were doubles and triples for you, and so I thought the team would win it. I don't think at the end they did. Then game 2, we beat Methodist, a team that we had beaten in postseason before, which was big, and they're always a postseason team out of the USA South. Currently, USA South was the Dixie Conference back in the day. So that was a good win for us. I think it was our third postseason win in the history of the program, of which I think we beat Methodist in the past in those postseasons. So that was good to move on. And then the third game was against Huntington, and Huntington, I believe, won that regional. I'm not 100% sure, but they were a very good team. They had a really big catcher that just could mash at the plate, and unfortunately, we chose to pitch to him at a time where we probably shouldn't have, and he hit a home run to beat us. So it was a great regional, great run for this group, and it kind of set the stage, though, for 2014 to get a chance to go to the postseason with a team that felt like they should have won the conference regular season and now had to wait a year to prove all that over again.
And a 1-out double from the bat of Christian Armstrong here in the third gives the Eagles a runner in scoring position with 1 away. And the top of the lineup coming to the plate in Nick Falk. Falk steps in. Nick 0 for 1 in the contest. He grounded out to the second baseman back in the first. Bram looks back to second base, pushes Armstrong back to second, and keeps him in check. Bram. Pitch on the way to Falk. Curveball catches the outside part of the plate for a strike and brings the count to 0-1. Good to see football coach Mike Clark down here in Lynchburg cheering on the Eagles. A number of fans down here supporting Bridgewater this weekend. The 0-1. Curveball is going to miss low for a ball and work the count to 1-1. One pitch. Fly ball right field. Out of play down the right field line. Brings the count to 1-2. One-two pitch. Grounded back to the first base and through the right side. Base hit. Armstrong heading home. Play at the plate. Throw. Safe. Christian Armstrong scores all the way from second base on a single through the right side from the bat of Nick Falk. And Bridgewater builds out a 1-0 lead over top of Randolph-Macon in the bottom part of the third. It's a play at the plate, and it was close. but the tag was not there. And Bridgewater builds out a 1-0 advantage over top of Randolph-Macon with Brian Sanderson stepping to the plate from the 2-hole in the lineup. On the game, Brian, he is 0 for 1. He grounded out to the third baseman back in the first. Now Bram looks Falk back at first. They have to, of course, be wary of Nick over there with his 18 stolen bases on the year. You know he's a base running threat. Bram. Pitch on the way to Sanderson. Towering pop-up. Second baseman over. Right fielder now in to converge. Second baseman calls him off. Now actually the right fielder takes it himself. That will retire. Sanderson put 2 away for the Eagles in the third. And that brings to the plate number 18, the right fielder, Johnny Mason. Mason in the ball game, he's 0 for 1. He grounded out to the second baseman and his only plate appearance to end the first. Bram looks in, approves the sign from Benjamin. Now throw over to first base. Not going to catch Falk. Slides back in time. Bram. Now throw over to first base again. Falk back in time. No tag put down. Keep Nick Falk at first base. And the RBI single earlier in the inning to score Christian Armstrong. Pitch on the way to Mason. Inside called strike. That brings the count to 0-1. Bram. His 0-1 pitch. Inside. Going to miss for a ball. And evens the count up 1-1. Throw over to first base, not in time to pick off Falk. Keep the count 1-1 to Mason. One pitch. Going to get away from the catcher. Had some trouble locating it. Falk in at second base and rounds towards third, but now decides to hold up at second. See how they score that. I think they're going to have to score that a passed ball. We'll see officially in a moment. Unless it brings the count to, yeah, it's going to be a wild pitch, actually. Chalked up to Bram. 2-1. Catches his own first strike. Evens the count 2-2 to Johnny Mason. Runner at second base is Nick Falk. He drove in the go-ahead run earlier in the inning on a single through the right side of the infield. Plating Christian Armstrong all the way from second base. Bram. 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. That will retire Mason and retire the side for the Eagles. 1-2 pitch. Ground ball to Hines deep in the hole. No play going to be made. It's going to be an infield single for Jeb Weymouth. First base hit of the ball game for the Yellow Jackets. Puts a 2-out base runner on board for Randolph-Macon in the fourth. And that brings it to plate number 6, the catcher, Tim Benjamin. It's a tough play for Hines to make. Frankly, the fact that he even got to the ball, as deep in the hole as it was a solid effort from Zach. Nonetheless, Benjamin steps to the plate. He's 0 for 1 in the game. He struck out looking back in the second in his only plate appearance at the contest. Lucas. Pitch now throw over to first base. It's a soft toss over to Armstrong. Not in time. Keep Weymouth on first. Jeb really not a big threat to run. Only 3 stolen bases on the year. Pitch inside. Called strike to Benjamin. That brings the count to 0-1. Lucas. Looks in for the sign from Smith. And his 0-1 pitch. Down the dirt for a ball. Smith blocks it up. And that evens the count up 1-1. Jeb Weymouth hanging out at first base for the Yellow Jackets. First base hit of the ball game for Randolph-Macon. With 2 away in the fourth. Bridgewater leading by 1-0 score. Lucas. His long look. On the stretch, the 1-1. Swing and a miss. Strike 2. Puts Lucas back ahead of the count. 1-2. Sanderson. Oh, I'm sorry, Lucas, not Sanderson. Joseph. His 1-2 pitch. High fly ball left field. Walling in. Now Hines shades out. Walling in underneath it in left. Makes the play, makes the catch, and runs the count even 1-1. Grounder, third base side, third baseman up with it. The throw from Miners over to first. I believe it pulled the first baseman off of the bag. It did. It pulled Crow off the bag, so it's going to be an error on the third baseman on the throw, allowing Smith to reach. So a 2-out base runner on the board for the Eagles in the fourth, and that brings to the plate number 17, the designated hitter, Brendan Howell. Howell in the game, he's 0 for 1. He grounded out to the shortstop back in the second. Pitch on the way. Misses inside for a ball and brings the count to 1-0. Actually, I think they're going to score that as a single. He steps off, does Bram. That pitch a little bit inside on Howell. He backs off the plate and works the count to 2-0. Pitch down in the dirt for a ball. Brings the count to 3-0 to Howell. Bram. 3-0 delivery. That misses low and walks Howell on 4 straight pitches. Runners at first and second now for the Eagles with 2 away in the bottom part of the fourth. That brings to the plate number 10, the shortstop, Zach Hines. Not sure if that's going to bring Coach Hedrick out of the dugout or not. I don't see any movement down there. He's going to try and looks like he's going to try and let Bram get himself through the rest of the inning. Runner at second base is Smith. Runner first base is Howell. Hines steps to the plate. Zach on the game. He's 0 for 1. He flew out the deep center field in his only plate appearance back in the third. Bridgewater with a 1-0 lead over top of Randolph-Macon in the fourth. Pitch on the way. Upstairs, missed for a ball. Brings the count to 1-0. That's a 5th straight ball thrown by Bram. The righty. Pitch on the way. Pops him up. Second baseman back. Now the right fielder comes in underneath it. Heidemann makes the catch. That will retire Hines and retire the side for the Eagles with a 1-0 lead after 4 innings of play. Line shot to right field, base hit for Trenham to open up the 5th for the Yellow Jackets. Put a runner on the leadoff spot for Randolph-Macon in the 5th. And that brings to the plate number 3, the shortstop, Travis Lodge. Lodge in the contest. He is 0 for 1. He grounded out to the second baseman back in the second inning. The Eagles with that 1-0 lead over top of the Yellow Jackets. Here in the 5th. Bridgewater softball team, they're now up 8-0 in the 4th. A 3-run home run from Melanie Lamb, give her 6 RBI in the game. Good way to break out today. Bunt laid down by Lodge. It's a good one. Lucas over to first. 1-4 on the sacrifice bunt. Puts a runner in scoring position in Trentham out at second base for the Yellow Jackets here in the 5th. Put 1 down for Randolph-Macon. And that brings to the plate number 11, the third baseman, Nate Miners. Miners, he's 0 for 1 in the game. He struck out swinging back in the 3rd. So Donnie Falk and his bunch are going to probably move on to the 5 o'clock game this evening over in Roanoke. I believe we'll have that game for you right here on BridgewaterEagles.com. Lucas. Back to the hill. Looks in for the sign from Smith. He now approves. Pitch to Miners. Off speed. Catches his own first strike and brings the count to 0-1. So the Eagles up 8-0. All they've got to do is go out and shut down Roanoke in the 5th, and that ball game's over. Lucas. A 1 pitch. Swing and a miss. 2 brings the count to 0-2 to Miners. In the on-deck circle for the Yellow Jackets in the 5th is number 4, the first baseman, Michael Kroll. Lucas. Time called by Miners. He steps out of the box, now quickly steps back in with an 0-2 count against him. Lucas is 0-2. Inside swing and a miss. Strike 3. That will retire Miners. Put 2 away for the Yellow Jackets in the 5th. And that brings up play number 4, the first baseman, Michael Kroll. Kroll in the contest, he's 0 for 1. He flew out the right field in his only plate appearance back in the 3rd inning. So keep the runner at second base for the Yellow Jackets in the 5th as they get their first runner in scoring position of the contest. Lucas. Pitch on the way. Skips in there for a ball. Good job by Smith to extend the arm out and block that up and keep Trenum at second base. Lucas looks in. Long look. Proves. 1-0 pitch on the way. Outside, going to miss for a ball. That brings the count to 2-0. And the Bridgewater softball team exploding over in Salem. They are up on Roanoke 8-0 in an elimination game in the ODAC softball tournament. Lucas, 2-0 pitch. Grounder back to Hacker at third base. Hacker tried to get up with it. 1 run's coming home. Play to plate. Throw's going to be wide. Sails over in towards the dugout. And the runner goes over to second base. So it's going to be a single to third base. Plating a run for the Yellow Jackets, and they tie this ball game up in the 5th off of a single from the bat of Michael Kroll. Hacker tried to get to it and dove to make the play. Just couldn't quite make it. It was a sharply hit ball by Kroll. And he got a 1-1 ball game. And luckily, you credit Hacker for coming up and making the big gun home, but it sailed wide and could have been much more trouble than it caused. Heidemann steps to the plate. He's 0 for 1 in the game. He grounded out to the second baseman back in the 3rd. Lucas looks around the outfield, sets up shop. His long look into Smith for the sign. He now approves the pitch to Heidemann. Swing and a miss. Strike 1 brings the count to 0-1. Lucas. Taking his time. The 0-1 pitch to Heidemann. Cuts across the plate for a strike, catches the outside part of the plate, and brings the count to 0-2. Runner at second base is Kroll off of the RBI single to third base, scoring Trenum and tying the ball game up 1-1 earlier in the 5th. Lucas. 0-2 pitch. Missed outside a little bit upstairs for a ball. That brings the count to 1-2. In the on-deck circle at the top of the lineup is Mitchell Keeler. Pitch on the way. Outside, going to miss for a ball again. And that evens the count up 2-2 to Heidemann. Lucas really taking his time on the hill now, after allowing the run to come across earlier in the frame. Joseph picks up the sign. And it's 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. That will retire Heidemann and retire the side for the Yellow Jackets in the 5th. And we welcome you back to Lynchburg, Virginia City Stadium for the bottom part of the 5th inning. Due up for the Eagles. The 9-1-2 hitters Armstrong, Falk, and Sanderson. First pitch to Armstrong is going to miss for a ball a little bit low and brings the count to 1-0. Randolph-Macon ties the ball game up 1-1 in the top part of the inning. Off a single to third base. Pitch. Called strike to Armstrong. Brings the count even 1-1. In the ballgame, Christian He's 1 for 1. He had a double down the right field line in the third. Pitch on the way. Missed low for a ball. Brings the count to 2-1. And, of course, Armstrong later scored on the single through the right side from the bat of Nick Falk to give Bridgewater a 1-0 lead at that point. 2-1 pitch. Outside miss for a ball. Runs the count to 3-1. Softball team up 8-0 over top of Roanoke over in Salem at the Moyer Complex. Trying to put away game number 1 of the day. 3-1. Catches the zone for a strike right in the middle of the plate. Works the count full 3-2 to Christian Armstrong. Payoff pitch. Fly ball left field. If it gets down, it's going to be trouble. It is. Back into the corner and left. Armstrong headed towards second base. Throw not even going to be made in time. It's going to be a stand-up double to left field for Christian Armstrong to lead off the fifth. So an early runner in scoring position for the Eagles. Brings it to plate the top of the lineup and the always dangerous Nick Falk. Falk in the ball game. He grounded out in the second and singled through the right side and drove in a run in the third as part of a 1-for-2 game. Opportunity here again to possibly play a run and put the Eagles back out in front. Bram. Pitch on the way to Falk. Now he steps off after spinning. Make sure he looks Armstrong back at second. Bram. Pitch on the way to Falk. Bunt laid down. It's a beauty. Third baseman comes in. Throw over to first base. Not in time. It's going to be an infield single for Nick Falk. Put runners at the corners for the Eagles with no outs. It was a well-laid bunt by Falk. It pulled the third baseman in. The pitcher couldn't get over to it. And it ends up being an infield single for Nick. And now runners on the corners with no outs. Brings it to plate number 7, the second baseman, Brian Sanderson. Just give the infield single to Falk. And now trouble for Bram here in the fifth after the Yellow Jackets tied up in the top of the frame. Benjamin comes out and has a quick chat with Bram just outside the dish. Sanderson steps in. Brian in the game. He grounded out to the third baseman in the first. Then he flew out the right field in the third as part of an 0-for-2 contest. Throw over to first base, not in time to catch Falk. Armstrong, of course, takes a peek at it down the third base line on the soft toss to first base. Bram. The look. Pitch on the way to Sanderson. Curveball cuts across the zone for a strike. Brings the count to 0-1. Bram. Pitch on the way. Misses low for a ball. Evens the count 1-1 to Sanderson. Runner at third base, Armstrong. Runner at first base is Falk. Armstrong reached out the leadoff double. Falk pushed him to third on an infield single on the bunt. Bram. 1-1 pitch. Curveball pops him up. Right field. Right fielder comes in. Underneath it. Tag made by Armstrong. The throw home is going to be a good one. Armstrong underneath the tag. Makes it home safely, and Bridgewater builds out a 2-1 lead over top of Randolph-Macon in the fifth off of a sacrifice fly from the bat of Brian Sanderson. Scoring Christian Armstrong from third to put the Eagles out in front by a 2-1 tally. Keep Falk over at first base. One away, and that brings it to the plate. Number 18, the right fielder, Johnny Mason. Bram. Throw over to first, not in time to catch Falk. Roanoke gets on the board in the fifth with a single run. They'll keep the game going. Pitch on the way. Towering fly ball left field out of play. Bring the count to 0-1 to Johnny Mason. So Bridgewater regains the lead on a sacrifice fly to right field from the bat of Brian Sanderson to take a 2-1 advantage here in the fifth. 0-1 throw over to first base. Not in time. It was a close play at first on Falk. Quick snap throw there from Bram. Made Falk get back in a hurry. Bram picks up the sign from Benjamin. 0-1 pitch to Mason. Swing and a miss. Johnny took a big cut at that pitch. And works the count to 0-2. 0-2 pitch. Outside, missed for a ball, trying to get Mason to chase. Runs the count to 1-2. Thrower to first base. Not in time to catch Falk. Keep the count 1-2 to the batter, Johnny Mason. After 4.5, Bridgewater still leads Roanoke 8-1 over to Moyer Complex. 1-2 pitch. Falk goes. Pitch in the dirt. It'll be a stolen base for Nick Falk. Bring the count to 2-2 to Mason. So the Eagles, they can play to run in the bottom of the 5th. They'll end that first game. Bram. Pitch on the way to Mason. Fly ball left field. Left fielder back. He's drifting to the track. Underneath it is Trenham. That will retire Mason. Put 2 down for the Eagles in the 5th. Keep Falk at second base. And that brings to the plate third baseman, number 24, Andrew Hacker. Hacker in the ball game. Flew out to left field in the 2nd. And then flew out to right field in the 4th as part of an 0-for-2 game. Pitch on the way to Andrew. Curveball cuts across the zone for a strike and brings the count to 0-1. Bram. 0-1 pitch. Curveball. That's going to miss outside a little bit upstairs for a ball. And evens the count up 1-1. One delivery. Towering infield pop-up. The shortstop, Lodge, over, underneath it. Back in the infield in the dirt, makes the catch. That will retire Hacker and retire it aside for the Eagles after the Yellow Jackets tied it up in the top of the frame. Lucas, single through the left side for Keeler to lead off the 6th for the Yellow Jackets. So the, I believe, 5th hit of the game for Randolph-Macon. Puts an early base runner on the board for the Yellow Jackets and brings to the plate number 1, the second baseman, Jake Fletcher. Fletcher in the ball game. Struck out swinging in the 1st. He lined out to the third baseman back in the 4th as part of an 0-for-2 game. First pitch. Still awaited from Lucas to Fletcher. Joseph. Pitch on the line, throw over to first base now. Not in time. Armstrong had to dive to make the catch on a throw. As Lucas, you can tell, just clearly a little bit concerned about base runners at this point as the Eagles hang on to a 2-1 lead. Joseph. The 2-1 pitch. Outside missed for a ball. I'm sorry, that's a 2-1 pitch. That's an opening pitch, actually, to Fletcher. Brings the count to 1-0. Eagles lead 2-1. Pitch on the way. Fletcher. That's a single through the left side and a base hit. So back-to-back singles for the Yellow Jackets here in the 6th. Lucas is 0-1. Fly ball right field. Mason in. Fields it on the line. Runner's tag, but don't head to the next base. A good throw from Mason into the cut man at second. 1 down for Randolph-Macon in the 6th. And that brings to the plate number 6, the catcher, Tim Benjamin. Benjamin in the ball game. He struck out looking in the 2nd. He flew out to left field in the 4th as part of an 0-for-2 game. Lucas. Pitch on the way. Swing and a miss and a big cut from Benjamin. Brings the count to 0-1. Again, the winner of this game advances to Sunday's ODAC championship round in the ODAC championship game. They would have to lose twice to not win the conference title. It's a 1 o'clock game here at City Stadium. Pitch on the way. Outside called strike. Brings the count 0-2 to Benjamin. Of course, the loser of the game plays at 6 o'clock tonight against the winner of the Hampton City WNL game a little bit later today. Lucas. Now looks the runners back at first and second. Especially keen on Keeler out at second base. He takes a big lead off the second base bag. 0-2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. That will retire. Benjamin, big strikeout dealt there by Lucas to record the second out of the inning here in the sixth after he gave up back-to-back singles. And that brings to the plate to number 30, the left fielder, Michael Trenum. Joseph. The 1-2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3 will retire. Trenum, back-to-back strikeouts, retires aside for the run-off-making Yellow Jackets. Strike out the last 2 batters of the frame and retired aside and cling to a 1-run lead. Pitch from Bram. Missed low for a ball. Brings the count to 1-0. Walling in the ball game. Had grounded out in the fourth. He singled to left field in the second, grounded out in the fourth as part of a 1-for-2 game. That pitch misses for a ball from Bram. Brings the count to 2-0, the 2-0 pitch. Driven through the right side, base hit. Leadoff single from the bat of Derek Wallen in the sixth. Puts an early base run on the board for the Eagles and brings to the plate number 23, the catcher, Ryan Smith. Smith in the ball game. He grounded out to the third baseman in the second and then singled to third base in the fourth in a 1-for-2 game. Bram back to the hill. Smith in the box. Pitch on the way. Pitch outside. Stolen base. For Walling. Puts a runner in scoring position now for the Eagles. Walling easily slid into second base, but now he comes up. Hopefully he's going to be okay. And Derek, he just had to check his hand and check his pants, make sure he's okay there. He'll be all right. He slid into second base safely. And the count goes to 1-0 to Walling. Bram. Pitch on the way. Pops him up. First base side. Gets out of play. And evens the count up 1-1. Bram. Back to the hill. Smith back in the box with a 1-1 count. Pitch on the way to Smith. Off speed, drilled out to right field. Right fielder can't get to it. Being held up at third base is Walling. That's going to be a single to right field from the bat of Ryan Smith. Puts runners on the corners for the Eagles with no outs. Pitch on the way to Howell. Outside called strike. Works the count to 0-1. Again, the winner of this game will play on Sunday, the championship game of the ODAC tournament, 1 o'clock right here at City Stadium. The loser will play tonight at 6 o'clock against the winner of the Hampton City WNL game later today. Pitch on the way. Howell single out to center field. Diving play. It's going to get past the center fielder. 1 run's going to score. Walling sending him home as well as Coach Kendall. So it's going to be a stand-up double for Howell. Throw not even going to be made home. And it's going to be a 2 RBI double from Brendan Howell. And Bridgewater builds out a 4-1 lead over top of Randolph-Macon in the sixth. That was a big base hit. And the center fielder did everything he could to come in and try and make the play, but just unable to make the catch on the dive to retire Howell. And the Eagles build out a 3-run lead in the sixth, and that brings to the plate number 10, the shortstop, Zach Hines. Pitch on the way now. Now Bram steps off the bag. Going to hold Howell at second base. That's a big hit for a freshman in a big situation. Bram. Pitch on the way to Hines. Cross plate for a strike. Works the count to 0-1. Pitch. Inside on Hines. Backs off the plate and evens count 1-1. Bridgewater with a 4-1 lead over Macon. In the bottom of the sixth, still no outs on the board. They plate 2 runs off of a double to center field from the bat of Brendan Howell. 1-1 pitch. Driven back to the shortstop. Scoops it up over to first base in time. That will retire Howe. Put one away for the Eagles in the 6th. Keep Howe at second base. Phillips on the season owns a 3.68 ERA in 14 appearances, 14 2/3 innings pitched. He's allowed 19 hits, 6 earned runs, and he struck out 10. Opponents are hitting .328 against Phillips on the year. Pitch on the way. Phillips has that sidearm motion. It's going to be tough for the Eagles to pick up. They saw the same thing the other day against Shenandoah. Against Roanoke. The 1-0 from Phillips. Sidewinders 1-0, misses outside for a ball, brings the count to 2-0. Brendan Howe still hanging out at second base. He had to double to center field, scored Armstrong to the plate. Scored Walling and Smith. 2-0. Outside, missed for a ball. Runs the count to 3-0 to Christian Armstrong. And Armstrong 2 for 2 in the day with a pair of doubles and 2 runs scored. Phillips. .30 pitch. Misses for a ball inside on Armstrong. Walks Armstrong on 4 straight pitches. Let's put runners at first and second for the Eagles with 1 away. And that brings it to play at the top of the lineup at number 1, the center fielder, Nick Falk. Nick, in the game, grounded out to the second baseman in the 1st. He singled through the right side and drove in Armstrong in the 3rd, and singled to third base on a bunt in the 5th as part of a 2-for-3 game. Phillips pitched to Falk. Cross the plate for a strike. Works the count to 0-1. Phillips. His 0-1 pitch. Bunt laid down by Falk. Back to Phillips. Over to first base in time. That will retire Nick. Advance both runners a base. So put runners at second and third. Howe goes to third. Armstrong heads to second. Put 2 down for the Eagles into 6th. That brings it to plate number 7, the second baseman, Brian Sanderson. Sanderson in the game. Grounded at the third baseman in the 1st. He flew out to right field in the 3rd, and then flew out to right field in a sacrifice fly to give the Eagles the lead in the 5th. A lead that they've now extended to 4-1. Pitch on the way. Cuts across the plate for a strike, and runs the count to 0-1 to Sanderson. Phillips. The 0-1. Inside on Sanderson. Backs him off the plate a little bit. And evens the count 1-1. Looks like the Bridgewater College softball team will advance. They take an 8-1 victory over top of Roanoke in the opening game of the day. They'll play at 5 o'clock this evening at the Moyer Complex. Pitch outside to Sanderson. Misses for a ball. Brings the count to 2-1. That game, we hope we'll be able to put that game on BridgewaterEagles.com later this evening. Phillips. 2-1 pitch. Single up the middle base hit. Howe scores. Home comes Armstrong. It's going to be a single for Brian Sanderson of the 2 RBI variety in the Bridgewater. Builds out a 6-1 lead over top of Randolph-Macon in the 6th inning. Fly ball right field. Right fielder in. Underneath it, that will retire Hacker. And retired aside for the Eagles in the 6th. But not before Bridgewater does some damage. Bridgewater. In the inning, they tally 4 runs on 4 hits.
The Randolph-Macon game was game 3. Two teams that were undefeated playing each other, and kind of the game that puts you in the driver's seat. We had a 4-run 6th inning that kind of opened the door for us. I think Brendan Howe had a double, scored Derek Walling. Sanderson later had a 2-run, I think RBI, a 2-run single, I believe is what it was. But I think the big story of that day was Joseph Lucas, who probably threw the best game of his college career as a senior, and just really dominated a team that was a pretty good offensive team. And he had 7 strikeouts. He just pitched his butt off. And as a senior, you like to see that happen. When they get to that final opportunity, it was just probably final in his mind start of his career at that time, and he just did a great job and managing a lot of pretty good hitters, and that was really the story for us, that he pitched a complete game and dominated Randolph-Macon in that opportunity.
The leadoff spot. Actually, I'm sorry, that was Heidemann. It's the 9-1-2 hitters for the Hornets. I'm sorry, for the Yellow Jackets this inning. So it's going to be a leadoff double to left field for Heidemann. Puts a runner on the board, and now that brings into play the designated hitter number 9, the top of the lineup, Mitchell Keeler. Softball team, they will play Shenandoah this evening at 5 o'clock in another elimination game of the 2013 ODAC softball tournament. We plan to have that game for you from the Moyer Complex right here on BridgewaterEagles.com. Pitch on the way from Lucas. Fouled away in the netting. Brings the count to 0-1. Yeah, Lucas, now you really don't have to worry about the base runners. You got a 5-run lead in the 8th. You just kind of decide, hey, we're just going to set on this and just try and get outs. You just got to get 6 more outs in the ballgame to advance to tomorrow's championship. Joseph. 0-1 pitch on the way. Inside. Keeler backs the hips out, and it runs the count even 1-1. Joseph looks in for the sign from Smith. The 1-1 delivery. Grounded back to Sanderson. Sanderson over to first base. In time, that will retire Keeler. Put down 1 for the Yellow Jackets in the 8th. And advance the runner, Heidemann, over to third. And that brings to the plate number 1, the second baseman, Jake Fletcher. Fletcher had a single through the left side in the 6th. As the Yellow Jackets look to get things going, but stranded 2 runners before Bridgewater blew things apart in the bottom part of the 6th inning with a 4-run frame to take a 6-1 lead. Lucas. Pitch on the way to Fletcher. Breaking ball inside, misses for a ball, and brings the count to 1-0. Shenandoah with a victory earlier in the day by a 4-1 score in a game that was going on just as Bridgewater's softball game was going on at Moyer Complex. Shenandoah defeated Randolph-Macon by a 4-1 score, believed to eliminate the Yellow Jackets. The 1-0. Catches his own for a strike, evens the count up 1-1. Lucas. 1-1 pitch. Driven back to Sanderson. Sanders scoops it up over to first base in time. The runner will score. So it's going to cut the Bridgewater lead to 6-2 as the runner Heidemann scores from third. We'll put 2 away for the Jackets here in the 8th, and that brings it to plate number 14, the center fielder, Jeb Weymouth. Lucas, pitch on the way. Finds his zone for a strike and brings the count to 0-1. High fly ball left field, walling back. Underneath it, that will retire Weymouth and retire it aside for the Yellow Jackets in the 8th. They get 1 run off 1 hit. 1-0 pitch. Fly ball, shallow left center field, base hit. That's going to be a single to left center field from the bat of Christian Armstrong. Puts a 1-out base runner on the board for the Eagles in the 8th and brings to the plate at the top of the lineup number 1, the center fielder, Nick Falk. Falk picks up the bat of Armstrong and tosses it back towards the Bridgewater dugout. The Eagles, again, looking to advance to tomorrow's ODAC championship game, 1 o'clock here at Lynchburg City Stadium, pending weather. We'll have to see what the weather forecast looks like and how they're going to handle tomorrow's championship round. Pitch on the way to Falk, called strike, pitch a little bit high. Brings the count to 0-1. The loser of this game will play this evening at 6 o'clock against the winner of the game, putting Hampton-Sydney against W&L a little bit later this afternoon. Pitch on the way from Byler. Fouled off into the netting. Brings the count to 0-2 to Falk. It's Byler and Lancaster. Two names that ring a bell, a name and a place that ring a bell to a lot of Bridgewater fans. Former Bridgewater football player Tyler Byler. The 0-2. Slow roller third base side, but foul. Keep the count 0-2 to the batter Nick Falk. Complete statistics and recaps from today's games available on both schools' websites, athletics.rmc.edu for Randolph-Macon, BridgewaterEagles.com for Bridgewater. Also, you can go to ODAConline.com. Fly ball left field, left fielder back. Drifts back towards the track. He's underneath it. That will retire. Falk put 2 away for the Eagles in the 8th. Keep Armstrong at first, and that brings to the plate number 7, the second baseman Brian Sanderson. Sanderson steps in. He had the big 2 RBI single back in the 6th to help extend the Bridgewater lead then to 6-1. Pitch on the way to Byler. Fly ball right field. Right fielder drifts back. He's now underneath it. That will retire. Sanderson retired aside for the Eagles in the 8th. Pitch on the way. Finds a mark for a strike. Lucas back out for the 9th inning. Eagles up 6-2 on Randolph-Macon. Pitch outside misses for a ball. Evens the count up 1-1 to the leadoff hitter number 6, the catcher Tim Benjamin. Lucas. 1-1 pitch. Outside, that missed for a ball. Brings the count to 2-1. One pitch. Outside, called strike though. Evens the count up 2-2 to Benjamin. Top of the 9th inning, Eagles. 3 outs away from advancing to the championship game of the ODAC tournament. The 2-2. Towering pop-up. Armstrong over, first base side in foul territory. Underneath it. That will retire the first batter of the inning. Benjamin put 1 down for the Jackets in the 9th. And that brings to the plate number 30, the left fielder, Michael Trenham. Trenham's done a little bit of damage to the Eagles in this ball game, but of course, not enough at this point with Bridgewater leading by 5 runs. I'm sorry, leading by 4 runs. Lucas, pitch on the way to Trenham. Fine.
Yeah, in addition to Joseph Lucas' performance on the mound, we had a lot of guys that had big days at the plate for us. I know not only did Brennan Howe and Walling have good days at the plate, and Sanderson, Nick Falk had a good day. Christian Armstrong, I think, had 3 hits of lettuce that day. And Ryan Smith also had a big game. So, you know, those were guys all stepped up at a big time and a big moment when you're looking for your players to respond at their best. And I think that's what put us in the championship round. And that we obviously know what happened there, but got us there to begin with.
One-two pitch. Fouled away, right field side. Gets out of play. Keep the count 1-2. Lucas. His 1-2 pitch. Grounder back to Hines. Hines fields it off the hop. Over to first base, throw in time. That will retire. Trying to put 2 away for the Yellow Jackets in the 9th. They're down to their final out of the ball game. And that brings it to the plate number 3, the shortstop, Travis Lodge. Lucas, 1 out away from tossing his 3rd career 9-inning complete game in the ODAC tournament. Joseph has just been absolutely stellar down here in Lynchburg during his career with the Eagles. Pitch on the way. High fly ball center field. Falk back. Drifts back underneath it. That will retire Lodge. Retire the side for the Yellow Jackets in the 9th. Bridgewater victorious by a 6-2 score. Over top of Randolph-Macon, and the Eagles advance to tomorrow's championship game.